Who's actually going to get real value out of an adjustable pallet carousel stand? And who should just keep their current shelving? If you're staring at a cramped workshop, a warehouse aisle that feels more like a maze, or a small retail backroom where you keep inventory on pallets, the decision isn't as simple as big capacity equals better. It comes down to how often you need to move pallets, the height of your ceiling, and whether the extra adjustability actually saves you time. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started looking at pallet handling equipment, I kept seeing the same question pop up in forums. Do I really need a carousel stand, or will a static rack do? The answer, as usual, depended on the specific workflow. A carousel lets you keep 3 pallet positions at different heights, which means you can load one pallet, roll it forward, and pull the next one up without bending or reaching over a stack. For a shop that does a lot of pick and place or a small distribution center that processes a few pallets every hour, that motion can cut down on fatigue and speed up the line. But if you only move a pallet a couple of times a day, the extra mechanism is more of a novelty than a necessity. Let's picture a typical day in a medium-sized warehouse that handles mixed orders. The crew receives a truck, unloads pallets onto a dock, and then needs to stage them for picking. With the Vestil PS 4045/CA, the first pallet sits at 221/2 inches, the second at 323/4 inches, and the third at 371/2 inches. Those 3 heights cover most standard pallet heights and give you a low-profile option at 121/4 inches when you need to roll under a low ceiling or fit the unit into a tight aisle. Workers can simply push the platform forward, grab the top pallet, and the next one rolls into place without any lifting. In a real-world test I saw at a friend's plant, the time saved on each pallet cycle was roughly 30 seconds. Not earth-shattering, but over a shift that adds up to a few minutes and less strain on the back. Now, who really benefits from that? Small to mid-size operations that have a steady flow of pallets, but don't have the budget or space for a full-size conveyor system. Think of a bike shop that receives bulk shipments of frames on pallets and then breaks them down into individual pieces. The adjustable stand lets them keep a pallet at floor level for unloading, a second pallet at waist height for sorting, and a third slightly higher for staging finished bikes before they go to the showroom. The 3-step height range is flexible enough to accommodate most tasks without having to reconfigure the whole floor layout. On the flip side, if you run a large distribution hub that moves dozens of pallets per hour, a manual carousel quickly becomes a bottleneck. Those environments usually rely on powered pallet lifts, motorized rollers, or automated guided vehicles that can handle much higher throughput. Similarly, a home garage that only sees an occasional pallet of garden supplies isn't going to get much return on a $2,000 plus piece of equipment. In those cases, a simple set of sturdy shelves or a static pallet rack is a far cheaper and equally effective solution. Let's talk about the practical strengths. The first thing you'll notice is the steel construction with a powder coat finish in a bold blue. That isn't just for looks. The coating resists scratches, rust, and the occasional spill of oil or water you'll encounter in a workshop. The 4,000-pound capacity is solid for a steel frame of this size, and the 3 adjustable height settings are locked in place with robust pins that don't wobble even when the platform is fully loaded. Because the platform measures about 42 inches by 40 inches, it can comfortably hold a standard 48-inch pallet with a little overhang, which is useful when you're dealing with pallets that aren't perfectly square. Another practical advantage is the low profile when you need it. Dropping the platform down to 121/4 inches means you can slide it under low shelving or fit it into a narrow aisle without sacrificing the 3-level functionality. That's a real win for older facilities where ceiling heights or aisle widths can't be changed without a major renovation. However, there are a few trade-offs that buyers should be aware of. First, the stand is manually operated. Moving the platform forward and back requires a decent push, especially when the top tier is fully loaded. It's not a one-click lift, so you'll still be using some physical effort. Second, the height adjustments are fixed. You can't fine-tune between the preset levels. If your workflow calls for a height that falls between 221 halves and 323/4 inches, you'll have to compromise or add a step stool. Third, the footprint takes up a decent amount of floor space, roughly 4 by 4 feet, which could be an issue in a cramped shop where every square foot counts. From a value perspective, the price.